Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohio Small Business Spotlight, powered by Greg Fay Insurance. Every single week, we do our very best to help you, the community driven entrepreneur, learn more about what it means to lean into business. I love small businesses, and I know my co host Greg Fay does as well. Greg, tell everybody who we have on the podcast this week.
Well, this one's a friend first, and he's just been a really good friend, and I've had an opportunity to have dinner with him and his wife. I cannot say enough good things. I was super excited when he agreed to be on the podcast. He's going to share some wisdom about the multitude of businesses that both him and his wife have operated. Everybody's going to be really excited about his current one just because of the fad that is going. And I don't even think it's a fad. Fad's a bad name for it. I think where pickleball has taken off in the American society, it's great exercise. It keeps people moving later in age, and there's a lot of skill that goes to it. Him and Jessica invited Stacy and I and some other folks over to his personal pickleball barn and gave us some lessons. So it was fun. I'm really excited to have Mike Bettencourt, one of the original founders and builders of Black Barn Pickleball. Welcome aboard, Mike. So happy to have you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. I'm super excited.
Mike, one of the places that we like to start is with your entrepreneurship journey. From my research, you're an Air Force Academy graduate. You've done multiple entrepreneurship kind of ideas over the years, including Bella Baby, previously co-owner of another pickle barn institution. When did you realize that you had the bug for entrepreneurship?
So, actually, I would say I'm less of the entrepreneur than Jessica is. My wife, Jessica, she's more of the entrepreneur, and she kind of got a taste of what it looks like to have a little bit of time freedom in a previous job she had where she didn't have to clock in and clock out and she had a little bit of freedom throughout the day and she found out she really liked that. Like, I don't know, I don't have to exactly be somewhere. I'd like to set my own schedule a little bit. And she's like an idea person. She comes up with a million ideas, and I'm the naysayer. I'm the one who says, I don't think that's a good idea. And then the first business that I thought had tons of legs was Bella Baby Photography. And when I heard about this, we were in Chicago visiting a friend, and his then girlfriend said, I just think hospital baby photography, which had been around for 70 years, was just so poorly done. Like the product that people were getting, and I have myself purchased, was dreadful. And she was a photographer and an entrepreneur, and she said, why can't we improve upon this? And Jessica, being an ideas person, she's like, well, could you do this and this? And she's a nurse with a sales background. So immediately they hit it off. And Kelly was like, hey, can you move to Chicago and let's open this business? And Jessica's like, well, I'm not moving to Chicago, but I'd be happy to do it here. And when I heard about this, and I'm like, okay, so here we have newborn babies, a great product versus what was offered. Parents tend to be slightly irrational about their newborn baby.
Preach.
And they will be willing to spend money on a good product. And I thought this is really scalable. Like we could go kind of nationwide. And in fact, our region grew from just southwestern Ohio to all of Ohio to Maine, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee. And then the company as a whole went to 42 states.
Wow.
And it was started, all we had to do was get $1,000 really nice camera and start getting hospital contracts. But that was the first idea that I heard, okay, I think one's a really good idea. It could employ a lot of photographers that honestly, it can be hard to get work as a photographer. And here you walk in the door and you've got 6, 7, 8 babies ready to be photographed every single day. And we could scale it. And I thought, let's do it. So that's how we started off. And it was a ton of work. I was actually working full time when we started that. So I'd come home at night and we were using a fax machine when we started. So the orders would come in, we'd use a fax machine. We'd write them all down and create a little spreadsheet. I think back to how we started that business to where it is today. And it's just kind of mind blowing a little bit. But that was 20 years ago. So a long time ago.
Well, Mike, you've done something that a lot of entrepreneurs wrestle with. You and Jessica have pulled this off, and you've already kind of elaborated on it a little bit. A lot of entrepreneurs, they start out with a side hustle, or they can start out with a business idea, and they would love to do it with their wife, and trying to figure out, okay, whose skill set fits best. I can't think of anybody that has done it better than what you and Jessica had, because you've already mentioned you guys recognize the strengths, but where, if you can say something in any business that you guys have done, if you can speak to someone with a side hustle that really wants to involve their wife, or someone that wants to start a business that involves their wife, if you could speak to them right there and tell them not only where are the places that you guys tripped up so they might be able to help avoid that, but what are the things that you think you guys have done right?
That's a great question, and I don't think everybody's cut out for it. And as a matter of fact, I think early on in our marriage, we probably wouldn't have been cut out for it. We fortunately have very diverse skill sets between what she's good at and what I'm good at, complement each other extremely well. I think if you've got two people that are type A, hard charging, it's got to be my idea, then it's probably not going to work. For us, I was more than willing to let her lead that. She was the salesperson. She would go get the contracts. Kind of a neat thing for me, and I used to tell this story quite a bit, was I knew Jessica as my wife and as, the mother of my children. I didn't know her in her workplace, right? So I got to see her, like we'd go to these meetings with hospitals and she would just run the room and just carry the day and just answer every question. And it gave me like a whole new respect for her as a person, because most spouses don't really get to see their spouse in a professional environment. So it really gave a new dynamic to our relationship and a new respect for, I think, for each other, because I was doing a lot of the stuff that she really didn't know how to do or didn't want to do. So I think I'm not probably not answering your question, but I think you really have to have a good mix of the right people to do it. I think you can. I think there's got to be one person that's more in charge, and you can be like in most of our businesses, I was kind of, she'd bounce ideas off of me, and I would put my analytical brain on it and say yes or no, and she didn't love when I said no, but she respected those decisions too. So.
One of the things that's interesting about entrepreneurs is they typically fall into that kind of process of being early adapters. When I was going through some of your LinkedIn history and your profile, just kind of learning and preparing for today, one of the things I noticed is that you got involved in pickleball before pickleball was what it is today, which is pickleball, right? Like I go to
Right.
the gym, Greg and I go to the same gym and they have pickleball playing on their TVs very often as we're doing cardio. What made you such an early adopter of this sport?
That's a great question. And we spend a lot of our summers up at a community called Lakeside, Ohio. And up there, there's tennis, and then there's shuffleboard. It's like the state championship shuffleboard is held there. But they had, so the tennis players, we had somebody come that was wintering in Arizona, and she came back and she said, "Hey, we've been playing a lot of pickleball." And everyone's like, "What's that?" And I love tennis, but I was never good at it. Never had a lesson, never, didn't have, where I grew up, you just played tennis. You weren't instructed on how to play tennis. But I thought this, and I love table tennis, and I'm like, this is kind of like a combination of, like I call it full size table tennis or life size, like we're standing on the table. So I watched them play, and then I was like, I could get into this. So we started playing, and the first like match I saw, which really intrigued me, it was like two 70-year-old grandmothers, and they were playing their grandsons, and they absolutely destroyed them. And I was like, what is this sport that doesn't necessarily, like, age and gender don't really matter? It's a skill game. It's a strategy game. It's do you have the right shots? Do you have, so you can, athleticism can take you so far in pickleball, but it can't win all the games. Like you'll be surprised at the skill of an older crowd that's been playing tennis their whole life that goes to pickleball, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, grandma's really good at pickleball. So yeah, that's what drew me to it. It was like, I feel like this sport could be, it's any age, any gender. And it was a little bit older when I started. Honestly, I was probably the younger person that was playing back in the day. And now, I mean, we have a 9-year-old that comes to Black Barn that I'm like, holy cow, like this kid could be amazing. There's a 14-year-old that lives outside of Columbus that he just made like the finals of a pro PPA, like top people in the world singles, and just incredible. So it's getting super young. And there's people that are in the sport that have never even played tennis. It used to be tennis people coming over. Now it's just, I just play pickleball. They've never played. So to me, there's so many checks and balances in it. You have to serve underhand. If you learn tennis growing up, your serve was a liability for a year until you learned how to serve it, and then it could be an asset. Like my kids, I don't know how much money, I don't want to add it up, we spent on tennis lessons just for them to get their serve in. And in pickleball, you have to serve underhand. The receiving team has the advantage. It's just a way to start the game. And so to me, it's like, wow, what a great sport. There's so many equalizing factors in it that anybody can play, and it can be as fun and easy as you want or as competitive as you can imagine.
Well, let me take that, and I want to drill down a little bit deeper on that, Mike, because you took something that's a passion of yours and you did something extremely scary. You kind of pushed all the chips in the middle. You found some people that you trust. I know Jeff Jett, and spoke to him a little bit about this podcast right here. How do you take something that you enjoyed playing, a game, and at what point did you say, all right, all chips are in, we're doubling down, we're building a place that we want people to come to? I mean, it's it's kind of like the I think of the baseball movie, and I'm not.
Field of Dreams, yeah, Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they will come, but that's not a guarantee. There's a lot more that comes with the business aspect. What did you learn in that right there, Mike?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people would say don't turn your hobby into a job, right? Because there's a lot of downsides potentially to that. But as I was an early adopter in pickleball, and Jeff was as well, we saw the growth and we saw how many people were playing. And Dayton has a very, very strong pickleball community, and a great community. And there was at the time, there was no indoor places to play. Well, you live here, you know that there's 215 days a year. You can't play pickleball if you're not indoors. It's either too hot or too cold or too windy or too rainy, and you just never know. So we had gone over to JFK one night, which is a local community place that you can play, tons of courts, tons of players, and you'd have to wait. A pickleball match takes between 10 and 15 minutes depending on who's playing, and you'd play for one game and then you would have to sit for 30 minutes, and nobody wants to do that. Pickleball to me is kind of like Marion's Pizza. Like you can always have one more slice. Like you can always play one more game because it's not super, super taxing. So we were like, wow, there's such a need and a draw, and there's such an active, vibrant community here. Dayton needs indoor pickleball. And then I combined with two other business partners that had the same passion for pickleball, one of whom has a lot of construction and general contracting experience. And it was through his expertise and knowledge that we were able to come up with an accurate budget and say, what can we build this for? And then Jeff's passion for just pickleball in general, and he's a real estate guy and he knows a million people. Between the three of us, we thought, we should try to do this. And we think it would go, and we think it'll be successful. We know what it would take. We know what we would like as avid players. We know what we would like to see in a pickleball facility. And we thought if we built that, then we would provide the best possible experience for Dayton pickleball players. And fortunately, people love it here, and we're super, super pleased. But until you start getting people in the door, man, you don't know.
One of the things I appreciate about your story is that you were early to market. However, the market has now caught up. There are pickleball places everywhere, particularly in South Dayton, where there tend to be a little bit more resources available. Mm-hmm. You're in downtown Dayton on Linden Avenue, an area I'm very familiar with. I'm a Chaminade Julienne kid, so
okay.
Downtown Dayton's one of my favorite places. So how do you differentiate your business when the market is now playing this major catch up?
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question, Tony. We actually chose this location because we were central. Like we're about 20 minutes from anywhere in the Miami Valley. So people, honestly, our struggle right now is for people, they know it's in Dayton. It's in Riverside, actually. It's right by Carroll High School, but it's right off of 35, 675, and 75. So when people think, oh, it's in Dayton, I don't want to go there. Like I live south of Dayton, so I'm living in a suburb, and I would maybe first thought might be to go to Centerville to play. But we have a big group from Springfield. We have a group from Troy. So we can cater to basically anywhere. And our business model is a little different. We purposely wanted to build a building that just had a good return on investment. Like, what can we build this for We paid for it ourselves. We don't have any rent. It's built strictly for pickleball. So we designed the building from the ground up, and we knew we wanted certain court dimensions. We wanted a lot of room on the baselines and the sidelines. As you get better and better, there's your serves get bigger and stronger. You need room behind you. There's a shot that people hit called around the post, or ATP. You need room on the sidelines to be able to hit around the post. We wanted high ceilings, so we have 19-foot ceilings at the shortest level. We wanted indirect lighting so that you weren't staring into a light when you try to hit your shot. And we also wanted a cushioned court surface. We researched this a ton. We drove to Toledo to test it out ourselves. It costs about twice as much as a regular court, but it makes such a big difference on your knees and your joints. And people that play pickleball, it's kind of an addictive sport, and they want to play all the time. So we have people in here twice a day, 5 times a week. I mean, they're just all over. But generally, it's because our court surface is so forgiving. We did get a complaint the other day that I'd like to tell people about, and one of our members came to me and he said, Mike, I've got a problem. And I'm like, what is it? What is it? Because I'm here all the time. I want to make sure everybody has a great experience. I want to, I'll bring the ball machines out for them. I'll do whatever they want. And I was like, what can I do? And he said, I've got a problem. He said, you've ruined me for any other pickleball facility around. And I said, well, that's a great problem to have from my perspective. I said, you don't have to play anywhere else. You can play here all the time. But he said where he used to play, now his knees hurt and his hips hurt. And he's like, your lighting is great. Your courts are great. The sound, like we don't have a lot of sound problems because the way we insulated it and the way our walls are. So we just thought if we provide like what we consider to be an ideal playing area, an ideal place to play, and we treated people like friends and family. We have new people walk in all the time, welcoming, encouraging, pickleball 101, ways to get better, leagues, lessons. We thought if we create that environment, we think we should have no problem gaining and keeping our customers.
All right, Mike, I'm going to call you out here. It sounds too easy.
Okay.
It just sounds too easy here. So let me play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Because I know what our audience listens for.
Okay.
They think, well, of course, everything went right for Mike. Mike's owned a business before. Mike's played pickleball before. Let me play devil's advocate and let me throw a hurdle in front of you. And I don't know what the hurdle was, whether it was marketing, accounting, whether it was in some of the construction issues, whether it was in, getting some of the permits that you had to, or what jumped out of the bushes at you that you did not expect, that you were like, okay, this is probably not going to endanger us following through, but we did not expect that. And that may help someone else. Maybe not, they might not have the same problem, but understanding your thought process and how to navigate it.
Great question, Greg. So when we found this lot, which is the old Smiley's driving range. If you guys are from Dayton, it was here
Oh, yeah.
70 years, and people love that place. And so we saw this, and it had that. If you saw it, 2 years ago, it had that old pro shop out front. It was a mess, like it was a bad thing. But we saw it, and we're like, gosh, this could be perfect. It would allow us to expand. So we approached Riverside, and we talked to them about it, and they actually said in our meeting, they said, we don't think you want that lot. Can we show you some other areas you might consider? And we were very confused by that. We were like, don't you want that developed? And they said, there's a lot of problems with it, a lot of issues with it. And it did give us a little bit of pause because we were like, if the city doesn't want us there. Right. So we really dove into that. And just, what I found was our best strategy was to come to the community, because this area, this lot that we're on is actually surrounded by residential homes, and it had been tried to be developed multiple times, and it got shot down by the neighbors every time because we didn't have water, we didn't have sewer, we had to go across Linden to get those, and those were a little intimidating, to be honest. And then there was some water retention issues in the back, and that was a little intimidating. But picking good professionals, a good civil engineer, a good architect, working with the city, the first thing we did after we convince the city that yes, in fact, we do love this lot, it's the perfect location, the next step we did was we called a meeting with the neighbors just to say, hey, we'd love to hear your feedback. We understand that there's been some things that tried to be developed here over the years. What were your hesitations? Here's what we are and who we are and what we plan to do. I mean, to me, pickleball is kind of the modern iteration of what Smiley's was, right? It was a family center. They had a driving range, they had batting cages, they had miniature golf, and families used to go there. To me, this is kind of like the modern equivalent of that. So it was already zoned for it. And once we kind of explained who we were, we actually had it in the church next door, and with the pastor who I happen to know, and we just said, ask us anything. What are your concerns? And they, at the end of that meeting, probably the guy that I was worried about the most, because he came in, he's got his arms crossed and he looks gruff, like he's a tough looking dude. He comes in a Jeep, and I'm like, oh, what's this guy gonna say? And he, by the end of the thing, he was like, hey, I really loved what you had to say. I think this will be a great addition to the neighborhood. It's terrible the way it is. We want something here, and this seems like a good solution. So it was, Greg, it was really just, it seemed overwhelming at first. The Riverside doesn't want us, which really wasn't true. They were just like, this may be harder than you want to pursue.
Okay.
The neighbors don't want us. That really wasn't true either. The civil engineering is difficult. Yes, but when you hire a professional civil engineering firm, they can help you with that. So we general contracted the whole thing ourselves, which was great. I mean, we were out there. I have more hours on a Bobcat than I would have dreamed about, because we bought an excavator and a skid steer, and we did most of everything we could do ourselves. We did, but we were concerned about how much money this was costing us, and we didn't want, our business model is different from the other two places, because we're not trying to cram as many courts into an existing structure, and we don't have any rent. So imagine their rents are pretty high, right? So we feel like we're positioned ourselves to be here for the long run, and that's what we want. And plans to build a second building are on the way, so we're hoping for that too.
Oh, breaking news.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mike, let me ask you this. One of the things that I just tell throughout your story is the spirit of collaboration, the spirit of partnership. You've lifted off a lot of friends, of course, your wife. If you're sitting down with a young entrepreneur, or maybe somebody who's getting ready to get into a partnership with somebody to build their dream widget, what's the number one piece of advice you'd give an entrepreneur about partnership?
Wow. So I think kind of touched on it earlier, is what are the skill sets in the partnership, and do they complement each other? And is there going to be one person that's kind of in charge, and then the other person that can give ideas and bounce ideas off of? I mean, I love having people to bounce ideas also off of. There's many times that we've discussed here, like, okay, well, how should we do this or this? And my idea was maybe not the best one, but so if you've got a partner that you think you can trust and is smart and capable, I think you can figure everything else out.
Well, I tell you, it's like you listen to some of our podcasts, but it's not surprising, because business owners say the same thing. You said it, but you didn't use the word excellence. You had in your mind the perfection of all of the things that you know about the game of pickleball. And excellence is definitely a theme. And I love Tony's question that drilled down on mine. Going to the right people. You did answer that part when I asked that. You said, man, the right people. And I think sometimes people are hesitant. They pull up short because they think, wow, if I hire the right person, it's going to be cost prohibitive. And really what you're saying is it probably saved you a ton of headaches and everything and all of the logistics to pull it off. And I also hear you saying, and I love how Tony put it, the gift of collaboration. You guys have embraced that. There's a lot of egos that can be involved in an idea, and everybody has their own vision. Even though everybody agrees on what the end game is, everybody has their own vision. I want to applaud you, because that's something that we've heard consistently through this right here. You took something that you loved, and you wanted to do it in an excellent fashion, and you were not afraid to hire the professional that you knew you needed. So I just want to applaud you right there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. And I think Tony, just to maybe further answer your question, the three of us, the three partners, we agreed on a combined shared vision. Like we knew we wanted to offer the highest quality pickleball at a reasonable price. And we knew what that looked like. We knew what the courts needed to look like. We knew what the lighting needed to look like. We designed the building for that purpose. We knew where to spend money and where not to spend money. So, you know, if you've driven by here, you'll see there is no windows and doors in the building at all. And Jessica would say, "You need windows, you need doors." Our architect said, "Are you sure I can't put any windows in there?" We're like, "We don't want any windows." Because as you noted before, I am, you know, I was actually part owner of another pickleball facility in Cincinnati. And I learned a lot of lessons from there. Like they had the fancy garage doors that you could open up. And you know what? There's certain times of day when that sunlight comes in those garage doors and you can't see a thing.
Oh,
And they're
wow.
very inefficient and they're very expensive. And so we knew like what's really important to a pickleball player. And fortunately, that was the lowest cost option. So we knew that's a good match when you've got the lowest cost option. It's easy to heat and cool, and it provides the best possible play. So I think in a partner, what you need to agree before you do anything is what is that goal? What is that shared vision and clearly defined so you can operate to that.
Okay, Mike, here comes the hardest question I'm going to ask you the entire conversation. And it's this. We love to talk to entrepreneurs. We love to talk to people who are recommended to us. And so who are 3 local community people, small business entrepreneurs, the person who's on the grind, people that you know that maybe your wife knows, or and who we should have on the podcast next?
Okay, so through Black Barn Pickleball, I've got to meet a few people. One of the guys that I'm really intrigued by is Jonathan Percy, who is owner of Pettibone Coffee. And if you've never been to Pettibone Coffee,
Best
so
coffee
there's
shop in Dayton, hands
it's
down.
incredible. It's
Yep,
incredible.
hands
And
down.
so he comes and plays pickleball here. He's a super nice guy. I don't know if he'd come on or not, but I go into Pettibone and I'm like,
This
it is,
family's incredible
it's
too.
packed in there
Packed.
every minute of the day. It's
Reverse
incredible.
osmosis water. What he would say, water is the key to good coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's good.
All right, that's
let me-
one. Give us 2 more.
that's 2 more local business owners.
While you're thinking, Stacy
Yeah.
wanted me to make sure to tell you that she said hi on the air. She just messaged me.
Okay, well, tell her I'll say hi back to her when I see her in Black Barn Pickleball. How about that?
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen right there because that's going to become our fall thing. My shoulder surgery delayed us this year, but she's already committed to it. I don't have an option, so that will be coming up soon.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. Gosh, guys, I'm really drawing a blank because I've been so focused on this for a year and a half that I literally have been
It's
like
okay. It's okay.
tunnel
I'll tell
vision.
you what.
Okay.
We definitely need to have your wife on. I
Yep.
think she would be a gem. And then
She is great.
And then we'll let you have a little bit of time on that third one.
Okay.
And grace is abundant. Can't wait to talk about it. And thank you so much for the time today, Mike. Thank you for your commitment to the community and what you're doing to further community and connection amongst people. This is the kind of stuff that this is why we always say small businesses are the backbone of our community. And we're thankful for guys like you and your partners who are leaning in.
Well, I appreciate you saying it. If I could say one more thing, I think, what's important, I think, as you get older in life is you need, you need community, which I know a lot of older people that don't have community. They stay in their house. You need activity and you need fun, right? And so pickleball to me does that. It does that for everybody. We have a group that comes in Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I kind of fell in love with this. She's 78. Her name's Judy. My mom's name is Judy, and she's adorable, and she's a great pickleball player. And I said, Judy, what is your secret? And she said, just never stop playing. And she's very skilled, but she gets out there. She's friends with everybody. She has the community. She has the activity. So I asked if I could take her picture. And she's like, okay. So we took a selfie and I put it up and I made a post about it because I'm just inspired by her and all these people. And it's like, it's never too late to start. I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be too late, but consider doing something like this, something like pickleball, which it's super easy to learn. It's very low impact. Now it can be super difficult too. Our touring pro is the best 50-year-old in the world and one of the best females in the state, in the state of Ohio. So when I play with her, it is not fun, but it is a good workout. So I just want to encourage anybody out there considering something like this. Like, you need this in your life. You need people, you need fun, and you need fitness. So Come see us.
I'll
Love it.
second that. Stacy plays in a golf league with a lady that is 90 and she still carries her own clubs.
I love it. Yeah,
Wow, I
just
do
never
too.
stop. Yeah, never stop, and you'll always be able to do it. I love it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, friends, that's our podcast for today. As always, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and be sure to tune in next week for the Ohio Small Business Spotlight, sponsored by Greg.